Netfix right here on Semicore Studios. You can always catch the Netfix wherever fine podcasts are sold, as well as SemicoreStudios.com, SemicorePods.com, BacktapeSlam.com, as well as Wadcast.com. Hey everybody, Josh here at SkitComic on Twitter. In case you're feeling froggy, you want to give me a little follow. Or if you want to go to Facebook, Semicore Studios, find it, like it. I try to update it. Admittedly, I lag behind. Full disclosure, once again, this is actually the third time I'm attempting to record the Netflix tonight, because the first time I thought was marred by a lot of background action because the kiddos, wide awake. School's out for the summer, even though it was pretty much out for spring break with the home schools and whatnot. And so they're running around here, energetic and rambunctious. Love those kiddos to death, though. But it also opened up with like an 8-minute babbling speech about solidarity, considering the events of the weekend and what's going on now. I see a lot of studios, a lot of bands, a lot of people showing their support on Facebook and standing in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And you know what? At the risk of losing a few listeners, if you're out there, I'm going to go ahead and take this moment to say Black Lives Matter. I wish it would mean an uptick in 1 million listeners, but I think the same group of you that have been listening will keep listening unless what I said somehow upsets you. And then, sorry, not sorry. It's a thing, and it's true. But this isn't the show to dissect issues like that. This is the show that tells you what's coming to Netflix, as well as what I've been watching on Netflix. But you know what? I think I'm gonna cut straight to the list tonight. Not that I'm worried about anybody judging me for what I've been watching. I'll be honest, I've been watching, let's see, I watched Hollywood. A tremendous show. Really dug it. And that'll be my recommendation. Watch Hollywood. As well as, let's see, I know I watched something else. And I know it doesn't say a whole lot about anything, the fact that I can't remember what I've been watching on freaking Netflix. But it's been quite a week. It's been quite a day for all of us. Patriarch with Hassan Minaj, The Artist. Oh, I tried watching Jerry Seinfeld, 23 Hours to Kill. A little bit of Portlandia. Really getting around. And that's what I've been doing on Netflix. Recommendations. Netflix original TV show, Hollywood, naturally. Netflix original movie? I'll go with it. Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston, and yeah, that I'm not going to explain that. Finally, of course, I watched Ace Ventura. I remember that. Gotta be honest, though. I gotta remember liking it more when I was a kid. Didn't realize that it's a fun movie. It's just not a very good one. Oh, well. We're just going to move straight on to the list. As you can tell, I am flying solo, like old times, yeah? It's just us. Me, the microphone, and all of you. Got a list. I actually made notes. I have a diagram and everything. Next week, hopefully, there will be somebody sitting in the second seat. We'll be able to have, a nice conversation about what's going on in Netflix. Maybe get some news. Start pulling some news. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But okay, the list of things coming to the Netflix instant streaming service in the United States this week. We're going to start with June 1st. That's today. That's right now. No matter when you're listening to it, these titles will be available immediately. There are no Netflix original anything coming out. And, in fact, everything dropping today is a movie. So, let's start with All Dogs Go to Heaven, 1989 animated classic. Although it is not as, how do I put this, wildly admired by critics, and maybe some people didn't really care for it as adults. But as a kid, man, this movie was everything. It was heart-wrenching. It was hilarious. It was definitely the movie that made me paranoid about death. But it only got a 6.8 out of 10, directed by Don Bluth. It stars Dom DeLuise, Burt Reynolds, and Judith Barcy. All Dogs Go to Heaven. Next up, if this is the one I think, then yes. Sorry, my mouse is crap. But The Bad News Bears. I actually did a little bit of extra research on this to find out which one it was. And it turns out, sadly, this is the 2005 version with Billy Bob Thornton and Greg Kinnear, directed by Richard Linklater. 5.8 out of 10 on the IMDb rating scale. I mean, it's PG-13. Maybe you sit down with the kids and watch it, teen kids. But honestly, it just doesn't hold a candle to the original. Cape Fear, 1991, starring De Niro, Nick Nolte, and Jessica Lange. Rated R. Directed by a guy, maybe you've heard of him. His name is Martin Scorsese. Yeah? Ring any bells? A convicted rapist released from prison after serving a 14-year sentence stalks the family of the lawyer who originally defended him. I guess I forgot to read the synopsis from the other movies, but I guess that's fine. The Bad News Bears is about a guy that coaches a kids' baseball team, and everybody's like foul-mouthed, and they're bad news. They're the Bears. They're bad news. All Dogs Go to Heaven is about a dog that dies, but has a mission on Earth, so he comes back as an angel dog. Speaking of dying, terrible segue. Terrible. Very tone deaf, too. Caught myself on it. Don't need to send in any tweets about that. You know what? Go ahead. I deserve it. 1995's Casper, PG, one of my favorite movies as a 13-year-old. Starring Christina Ricci, Bill Pullman, directed by Brad Silberling. And it says, an afterlife therapist and his daughter meet a friendly young ghost when they move into a crumbling mansion in order to rid the premises of wicked spirits. Casper. Love this movie. Next up, we have 1995's Clueless. That's right, the Alicia Silverstone classic. It's also what made Stacey Dash famous. And basically, anytime you see Stacey Dash, ever since 95, she's been, the girl from Clueless. The one that's not Alicia Silverstone. And, unfortunately, Brittany Murphy, who's also in it, has since passed. But it says shallow, rich, and socially successful shares at the top of her Beverly Hills High School's pecking scale. Seeing herself as a matchmaker, Cher first coaxes two teachers into dating each other. It only has a 6.8 out of 10, but it is a classic. A 90s classic. Teen Girl movie. Must watch. Oh, God, that sounded weird. Yeah, send the tweets in for that, too, because that was just awkward as hell. Coming up next, from 1982, directed by Steven Spielberg, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. That's right, the movie about the little alien that comes down and helps Elliot. The movie that spidered piece of candy. Reese's Pieces blew up overnight, in my opinion, but E.T. the Extraterrestrial. A troubled child summons the courage to help a friendly alien escape Earth and return to his home world. It's a little simplistic, but 7.8 out of 10. With, I'm really not sure which version this is going to be, because there have been some re-releases over the years where guns are removed and replaced with different things, walkie-talkies, flowers, I don't know. Hopefully it's the original print. Up next, Inside Man, 2006, starring Denzel Washington, Clive Owen, and Jodie Foster. Directed by Spike Lee. It's a police detective, a bank robber, and a high-power broker enter high-stakes negotiations after the criminal's brilliant heist spirals into a hostage situation. So yeah, this is definitely a must-watch for me. I'm catching up on my Spike Lee movies. I just only recently saw this year Do the Right Thing, and I'm really trying to catch up on some of the back catalog. But I've seen some of his more recent stuff. Inside Man, it's weird. It's one of those movies that I don't know if I've seen it. But I remember there was another one called The Negotiator. Was that Samuel L. Jackson? So maybe that was the one I've seen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that might have been the one I saw. So Inside Man is on my list, for sure, of things that I need to watch. 7.6 out of 10 on the IMDb ratings. Another classic movie from the 90s, 1991, directed by Jonathan Demme, starring Jodie Foster, and he won an Oscar, Anthony Hopkins. It's The Silence of the Lambs. But I gotta be honest, it's weird because Anthony Hopkins had 5-10 minutes of screen time in this movie, got him a Best Supporting Actor Oscar. I have no idea what qualifies people for Oscars. I'm not saying he did not deserve the award for his turn as Hannibal Lecter. I don't know what the field looked like that year. And his portrayal was amazing. It was very short. And eventually we did get more in other movies, but we're not going to talk about those because they're not on the list. That's one thing on Netflix would take into a little bit more consideration. When they have movies that are part of a series, can we make sure all of the movies come at once? Just throwing that out there. A young FBI cadet must receive the help of an incarcerated and manipulative cannibal killer to help catch another serial killer, a madman who skins his victims. The Silence of the Lambs. Up next, Starship Troopers from 1997, 7.2 out of 10. Very loved. I'd say it's a cult classic, but I think it actually did get some mainstream notoriety there. Directed by Paul Verhoeven, who is a wonderful director, and starring Casper Van Dien, who is an actor, Denise Richards, and you know what? I'm going to skip that and go straight to Neil Patrick Harris. That's right, NPH. In this, albeit, briefly. Humans in a fascist militaristic future wage war with giant alien bugs. It's gruesome, it's gory, and it's war. So check out Starship Troopers. No, the kids. Don't know what my dad was thinking taking me to see this movie. I guess I was 15 at the time. Oh, this one's really exciting to me. It's 7.4 out of 10 on the IMDb scale. It is a, check it out, 2017. That's pretty recent. 2017 film starring James Franco, directed by James Franco, also starring Dave Franco. The Disaster Artist. Wow. I mean, talk about movies. This is a movie about a movie, and it's a movie about a terrible movie. But it's a movie about a movie so terrible that people love it. It's crazy. The synopsis reads, when Greg Sestero, an aspiring film actor, meets the weird and mysterious Tommy Wiseau in an acting class, they form a unique friendship and travel to Hollywood to make their dreams come true. Those are things that happened. It is such a crazy freaking movie. The Room. The Disaster Artist is... Well, it's about the movie that... Look, if you haven't watched The Room, find it, watch it, and then watch this, because it's going to be uncanny how... Well, you'll see. Also coming out, The Help, an 8.1 out of 10 on the old IMDb scale. Came out in 2011, directed by Tate Taylor, starring Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, and Emma Stone. And it says, an aspiring author during the civil rights movement of the 1960s decides to write a book detailing the African American maid's point of view on the white families for which they work and the hardships they go through on a daily basis. Whoo! Just watch out for pie. I will say, though, that I really like this movie. It wasn't everything it could have been, to be perfectly honest. It was good. It was really, really good. But I guess it was just a comedy. At the end of the day, it's just a comedy. Yeah, comedies can say something. Comedies can be more than just played for chuckles. But I don't know. I just thought, how could I have made it better? I don't think I could. How could they have made it better? I'm sure something could have been tweaked. I don't know what it was. So, The Help. The Lake House, a 2006 movie. Starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. 6.8 out of 10. A lonely doctor who once occupied an unusual lakeside house begins exchanging love letters with its former resident, a frustrated architect. They must try to unravel the mystery behind their extraordinary romance before it's too late. That silence was... Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, Lake House. I don't think anything I say is going to convince you whether or not to watch it. So that's pretty much what that silence was for you to make up your mind of which person you are. 2006 is The Queen, 7.3 on IMDb, directed by Stephen Frears, starring Helen Mirren. After the death of Princess Diana, Queen Elizabeth II struggles with her reaction to a sequence of events nobody could have predicted. It certainly seems interesting, but I don't know if it's a me movie. But I might check it out. In arguably the most apt title coming to Netflix at this particular time, V is for Vendetta, 2005, 8.2 on IMDb. In a future British tyranny, a shadowy freedom fighter known only by the alias of V plots to overthrow it with the help of a young woman. Directed by James McTeague, starring Hugo Weaving, Natalie Portman, and Rupert Graves. Crazy, right? It's been on my want to watch for a while. I gotta be honest, I just haven't gotten around to it. But a movie I have seen, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story from 2007, 6.8 out of 10, coming out at a time when musician biopics were, or biopic, however you prefer, they were big. We got the Johnny Cash movie, Ray Charles. It's kind of a combination of those things about a fictional singer named Dewey Cox. Directed by Jake Kasdan, starring John C. Reilly as singer Dewey Cox, and how he overcomes adversity to become a musical legend. The wrong kid died. Yeah. Give it a shot. Not for the kids. Also, coming out with a musical theme, West Side Story from 1961, 7.5 out of 10. Oscar winner, Best Picture. Two youngsters from rival New York gangs fall in love, but tensions between their respective friends build toward tragedy. Yes, Romeo and Juliet, basically. I have yet to watch this movie all the way through. Starring Natalie Wood, George Chakiris, and Richard Baber. Directed by Jerome Robbins and Robert Weiss. It is considered a classic. Kind of wish I'd, seen it at this point. But now I can watch it anytime I want until they take it off, whenever that is. And finally on the first, 7.7 out of 10, 2007's Zodiac. Directed by David Fincher, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo. That's right, Iron Man and the Hulk act together. In the late 1960s, early 70s, a San Francisco cartoonist becomes an amateur detective obsessed with tracking down the Zodiac Killer, an unidentified individual who terrorizes Northern California with a killing spree. So contrary to unpopular belief, a certain political figure is not the Zodiac Killer. But this movie is terrific. Drama, R-rated, 2.5 hours of tense investigation. Moving along in the calendar. June 2nd. Tomorrow. It's Fuller House, the farewell season. I know what I am binging tomorrow, yo. That's right, I'm going to be binging Fuller House, the final season. If you haven't watched up to this point and you're a fan of the original Full House, yeah, you know what's up. Did I say haven't? I'm sorry, I'm very tired. And basically what I'm saying is if you're a fan of the original show, you're going to love it. If you've been watching the new show and you love it, you'll love it. So, if you're not a 90s sitcom kind of person, it's probably just all noise to you. So, that is coming out on the 2nd. And that's the only thing coming out on the 2nd. Looking at the schedule. Coming out on the 3rd, there are two titles. One is a movie from 2017. It is Lady Bird. Comedy drama, 7.4 out of 10 on the IMDb. Starring Saoirse Ronan, Laurie Metcalf, Tracy Letts, directed by Greta Gerwig. In 2002, an artistically inclined 17-year-old comes of age in Sacramento, California. I haven't seen it, so I don't really know how to expand on this. But on the 3rd, I will be watching because it is one of those movies that is on my list of movies that I need to watch. Got a lot of critical acclaim. Also on the 3rd, a documentary called Spelling the Dream. It is directed by Sam Rega. and chronicles. It's a chronicle of the ups. It's a chronicle of the ups and downs of 4 Indian American students as they compete to realize their dream of winning the iconic spelling bee tournament. So, yeah. And spelling bee doc. Gotta love that. Or at least, Anime, something Ben would have been good at to talk about. On the 4th, Baki, the Great Raiti Tournament Saga. That's happening. And that's the only thing on the 4th. On the 5th, we have actually a few more titles coming out, but I will keep these a little short. 13 Reasons Why, Season 4. I saw the first one, and I was like, okay, I watched that show. That was pretty good. It's pretty good. And then the second season came out, and I didn't watch it. Third season came out, didn't watch it. And it almost seems like there's not going to be an end to it until 13 Reasons Why becomes 13 seasons in. And I said there wouldn't be any jokes. But that is the Netflix original 13 Reasons Why. Also, Netflix original coming out on the 5th, Queer Eye Season 5. That's coming out on the 5th. The Netflix original movie coming out on the 5th is called The Last Days of American Crime. Check out this premise, guys. Directed by Olivier Megaton? God, hell of a name. Starring Michael Pitt, Charlton Copley, and Edgar Ramirez. Okay, those easier to say. In the not-too-distant future, as a final response to terrorism and crime, the U.S. government plans to broadcast a signal making it impossible for anyone to knowingly commit unlawful acts. Crazy premise, right? God, I want to watch that. I gotta know what happens. And I will be able to do that on the 5th. Also, on the 5th, and that actually concludes all my extraneous notes. Also on the 5th, Hannibal Seasons 1 through 3. We were talking about Silence of the Lambs earlier, and this is the story of a young Hannibal, I believe. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I might be mistaking this show with something else, but Hannibal Seasons 1 through 3. And there's only one show left to mention, and that is Queen of the South Season 4. So if you're a fan of Queen of the South, you already know Season 4 is like right around the corner on the 6th. So enjoy it. Enjoy all of these titles. Enjoy the ones that you want to enjoy. It's time, though, to say goodbye. I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I do know that whatever happens, I will be here in some capacity as best I can to entertain you, inform you in whatever way my shows permit. I'm the one that, creates the shows for Semicore Studios. But unlike my house, I believe that everything has a place. I believe that every topic has a time. And right now, there's just nothing formatted to really go into the discussions that really need to be gone into in a proper way. But I will let you know that I'm here, and I'm going to do the best I can to basically, if it's not here yet, I'm going to try to bring it. So that when you when you hear the name Semicore Studios, you know there's going to be something there for you. Whew. With that being said, how about we just all head out of here? Have a good week. Maybe Josh's work comes back at some point this week, and I just spit out some words to talk about how I'm feeling. Yeah, sounds good. Good night, everybody.